Range Rover, P38A 1994 to 2002. The Range Rover, LP, is the second-generation Range Rover model from British carmaker Land Rover. It was launched on September 28, 1994, 24 years after the introduction of the Range Rover Classic. It included an updated version of the Rover V8 engine, with the option of a 2.5-liter BMW 6-cylinder turbo diesel. The new model offered more equipment and premium trims, positioning the vehicle above the Land Rover Discovery to face the increased competition in the SUV marketplace. It is usually known as the Range Rover P38 or P38A outside of Land Rover, after the office building in which the vehicle development team was based. During the early development stages, the engineering team was based in the engineering block at Solihull, and the vehicle was known by the project designations of Pegasus and Discovery, changing to P38A when the team moved to Block 38A at Solihull. The name Discovery was used temporarily as a cover to confuse journalists while the original Discovery vehicle was being developed. During production, Land Rover referred to it as either the new Range Rover or by its model designation of LP. In 1999, the Range Rover V8 received a new Bosch Motronic engine management system from the BMW 7 Series, E38. This replaced the Lucas Sagem GEM system. This engine is also known as the Bosch Orthor engine. The later engine also featured revised engine mounts along with a structural alloy sump to stiffen the engine up to help improve refinement and prevent vibration ingress into the cabin. It can easily be identified by its intake manifold. The diesel edition received an EGR system, which came with a plastic inlet manifold. A modulator sends back part of the exhaust gas into the manifold, thus mixing hot exhaust gas via a vacuum pump into the cold air from the intercooler. The second-generation Range Rover incorporated an improved electronic air suspension, called EASE, which was an adaptation of the system used on the 1993 to 1996 Range Rover Classic. It allows automatic, speed-determined height adjustment. The 5 suspension heights offered by EASE are, from lowest to highest in terms of height, access, motorway, standard, off-road, and off-road extended. Height was also adjustable manually between the first 4 settings. The off-road extended setting was only accessible automatically by the EASE EQ in the event of the chassis getting beached. The 4.0 liters V8 petrol and the 2.5 liters i6 diesel engine were mated to either the R380 manual gearbox or the ZF4 HP22 transmission, as used in the late classic Range Rover 300 TD5 or V8 Discoveries. The 4.6 liters V8 petrol engine was only mated to the ZF4 HP24 transmission. The R380 gearbox is basically the same as in the previous Range Rover, or Discovery 300. The primary shaft for the diesel is different, with a small input diameter for the spigot bearing inside the BMW flywheel, and the output shaft has been changed to allow for the different Borg-Warner box. The Borg-Warner 4462 transfer box on the P38, unlike the Classic, has no direct control of high, low range gears, meaning that the vehicle has to nearly stop before shifting from high to low range, and the lever from the Classic model was replaced by an electric control on the dashboard for the manual and an H-pattern gate on the automatic gear lever. High, low is selected by an electronic actuator on the TB. The transfer case's chain and sprockets have been reinforced. The rear differential on the 4.6 liters V8 petrol model were a 4-pin version, and 4-wheel traction control was included with the vehicle, whereas initially the 4.0 liters V8 and the 2.5 liters i6 only had 2-pin versions and 2-wheel traction control on the rear wheels only. Later versions had the 4-wheel traction control, and the later 4.6 liters V8 petrol model had a 4-pin front differential. The chassis was also made stronger and new welding techniques were used, so unlike its predecessor, the chassis and body sections are not as prone to corrosion. This was the last Range Rover available with a manual gearbox and a Classic transfer box. Other features included anti-lock braking system and some automatic gearbox models 2-wheel traction control, although later models saw this feature applied to all 4 wheels.